Whoa, you must have been a beautiful baby. You must have been a beautiful child when you were only starting to go to kindergarten.
Today, we're going to address the subject of finding your perfect match. In the past, I would have said marriage partner, but today the terms have changed. The only data we have for measuring partnerships comes from measuring marriages. And here we find that 51% of all first marriages end in divorce. Not a very good percentage. It would sure be nice if we would have another tool to find higher percentages of success in partnerships. The success of any partnership is related to a multiple of variables. I think that if we study birth order, we will find a link to a higher percentage rate of successful partnerships if we use what we know about birth order. Is birth order really a predictor of success in partnerships? Yes, it is. In fact, I've been studying this problem for so long, and I have stumbled on what I think is a real predictor of which birth order relationships are more successful than others. Now, this doesn't mean that there's only one answer to the partnership question, because all birth order relationships can end in successful partnerships. It's just that some take more effort than others, and some are just so easy, and they seem to last a lifetime. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's a question that I ask my audiences concerning their partnership relationships and their birth order that give us an answer to this riddle. I'm sure you've heard the term love at first sight. You wonder, is this real? The answer is yes, but there are two types of love at first sight. The first type of love at first sight is when you meet someone with your exact same birth order. Now, why does this work? It works because you're meeting yourself, and you know who you are, and you seem to understand what this person is thinking. You can finish their sentences. Why? Because you're looking at yourself. But there's a problem with this type of love at first sight. Since you are the same birth orders, when you look in the mirror, there can only be one image. So one person has to step aside. Now, if neither of you are willing to step aside in this relationship, it's doomed for failure. Of course, you have to know what your real birth order is before you find someone with your same birth order. And you may want to go back to some of our earlier videos that talk about the 7 steps to finding your real birth order. It's just not as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. But once you know your real birth order, then you have a chance of matching up with someone with another birth order. Now, an example of a successful first type of love at first sight is Prince William and Kate Middleton. They seem to have worked out who's going to be in the mirror at any one time perfectly. Their life is very complicated. Besides raising their children and their personal appearances, they seem to have done it well. The second type of love at first sight is when you find someone with the same birth order of a sibling in your family. This person you understand because you've lived with them for over 16 years. This is why this type of love at first sight is much more successful than the first type. You don't have to like this sibling. You just understand the birth order characteristics. That's why it's not quite as exciting as the first type of love at first sight, but it's much more lasting. Now, let me give you an example of someone we all know, a couple that were married well over 50 years. Our former president, George Bush. He was a number 2 birth order and had a younger sister that was number 3. His partner, Barbara, was a number 3 birth order and had a brother in the number 2 position. It was a perfect match, and they knew it from the first time they met at a dance. They knew it was going to be a lifetime partnership. After explaining this second type of love at first sight, I usually ask my audiences for a show of hands of all those that are in this type of partnership. Then my second question to this same group that just had their hands up is, how many of you are no longer in this partnership? No hands go up. Now, it's hard to believe that 100% of these people have successful partnerships and that no one had a breakup or a divorce. However, we can't ignore what I'm seeing, and birth order may definitely have an effect on long-term relationships. What if you have a double birth order? That's what we've been talking about in many of our videos, the double birth order, which really is the key to understanding everyone. But with a double birth order, you're dealing with two people. Now, what if you have a single birth order and the person you have picked has a double birth order? One of their birth orders may match with you or one of your former siblings. The other may not match at all. So these relationships, you're falling in love and you're falling out of love, and you can't understand what's going on. It's very confusing. So if you have a double birth order or a partner with a double birth order, this may explain many of the problems in your relationship. Now let's talk about someone we all know that has a double birth order. Meghan Markle. She married Prince Harry. Now, Prince Harry has a number 2 birth order. He only had an older brother. Meghan, on the other hand, had 2 older siblings, a brother that was in number 2 position, so she understands Harry instinctively. But she is a number 3, and there's a 10 or 12-year difference between her and her other siblings, so she adds the double birth order of an only to her number. This makes her 2 people, the only child and the third born. She can be very manipulative. Harry has no idea who she is, and she knows exactly who Harry is. This is going to be an interesting relationship. Now that you know a little bit about birth order and partnerships, take a look at your own family and see which marriages or partnerships have stood the test of time. Then you be the judge whether birth order is really a predictor of success. Like your fingerprint, birth order is who you really are.